You ever see a future where philanthropy will become compulsory in the way we operate?
No, I don't think compulsory is not possible. If I have to pursue a certain cause, I should be passionate about that cause. I can't pursue something which I'm not passionate about. There are certain entrepreneurs who reach out to me, and I have made it very clear, anybody wants some mentoring, I can help.
The biggest poverty that they face is actually information poverty.
Yes.
Being informed, having access to the right rooms. So what you're opening up is a wealth of knowledge that actually bridges the gap.
All the entrepreneurs create a multiplier effect.
Correct.
We can't go on expecting the government to play a pivotal role in driving India's growth story. It has to be the entrepreneurs who will drive. So in the area of mental health, we realize that it's a completely neglected area.
Yes, it is.
They thought that it's a disease where they cannot talk to people openly.
Hi, I'm Naghma Mulla and this is Give It a Go, a podcast where we step into the world of giving. My guest today is Harsh Mariwala. You probably know him as the man behind one of India's biggest consumer brands, but that's not why he's here today. When he gives, he doesn't write checks and walk away. He bets big, backs bold ideas, and isn't afraid to shake things up. So today, we're talking about how leaders like him are rewriting the rules of philanthropy. Let's get started. So, Mr. Mariwala, from Bombay Oil Industries to Marico, way back in 1990s, what was really going on in your mind? Like, why did you want to break out and go out on your own?
So, I joined Bombay Oil Industries at a very young age. And at that time, it was a completely family-managed company, where my father and my uncles were managing 3 different businesses under one company, Bombay Oil Industries. And I just joined the organization without knowing what I'm going to do. So I started exploring. And in that exploration, I realized that if we could convert our edible oil business, which was mainly sold to other companies, and it was more a B2B business. If I can convert into what is known as B2C business, then I will be able to create strong brands, and the business will be far more profitable, sustainable, and growth-oriented. Because prior to that, the business had very low margins. And I think that's how my journey in consumer products started in Bombay Oil Industries.
Yeah.
And since then, it's grown. Now, Bombay Oil was a family-managed organization. And in a few years, 4 of my cousins also joined business. And in fast-moving consumer good business, which Marico is in, talent plays a very important role. So you have to have the best quality talent. And you have to attract good talent. The fact that so many family members were there as a part of one company was making it very difficult for me to get good talent. In addition to that, there was no clear responsibilities within the organization in terms of allocation of resources. So I went through quite a frustrating period in terms of not able to move forward because I was not sure, even if I made some profits, whether it will come to my profit center. I was not able to attract good talent. Our office was located in the heart of commodity markets in Masjid Bandar. So I think that made me rethink that, if I really have to give thrust to this business, I have to take this business in a different company, because the culture required to manage a FMCG business is very different than a culture required to manage a chemicals business. or a spice extracts business.
But at that time, one is a family structure,
Yes.
structured business that is
Yes.
very settled,
Yes.
and an external ecosystem which has very dominant FMCG players.
Yes.
It's like a war on both sides.
Yes.
How was that for you to navigate? Because there are so many doubts also that come, right? How do you?
So I was very clear that we had to professionalize and we had to attract talent from the so-called FMCG companies at that time, like Levers and Procter and Gamble and so on. So I was able to persuade the family to take this business into a different entity.
Yeah.
And that's how Marico was formed. And looking back, I think it has been the best decision for me and the most important decision.
Yes.
Because if I had not spent those 2 to 3 years it took me to convince the family, I would have been struggling in family dynamics and ensuring that I had the right resources to attracting talent. So I think it was worth spending those 2-3 years and making Marico happen.
But if you have to really think back at that time and say, okay, there was a certain kind of hunger.
Yes.
What would you qualify it as? I mean, was it a hunger to prove yourself?
It is, it's the inner desire to prove oneself, the inner desire to build scale, to build a business which was profitable, to get recognition, to get respect, and just be happy that, okay, you're able to create something.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of these 3-4 things. Initially, when you're young, money plays some important role. But after a point of time, money is not really a motivator because you are not going to increase your spending depending on your wealth, at least not for me.
Yeah.
So the inner drivers were more recognition, respect, giving something back to the society from the profits generated and things like that.
Yeah. And in harsh realities, you've also said that the importance of saying no is very, very high in your life. What has been the most difficult no that you've had to say?
So you're absolutely right. For any entrepreneurs, constantly go on getting lots and lots of ideas in terms of new business to go in, new things to do. But I'm a very, very strong believer in a focus, because when you focus on a few things, that focus leads to depth, and depth leads to excellence. So you have to be excellent in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's why focus has always been my forte, and I strongly feel that most organizations should be focused.
Yeah.
There are exceptions, some business houses which have succeeded in non-focused businesses, diversified businesses, but they're very, very few. I think you have to be focused in terms of what is your business, what it should be. At the most, you may go into some related diversification compared to what you were doing earlier. But to do completely different thing, it just, there is huge learning curve. And I think the chances of success in that journey may not be as high as you are in a focused business.
So you have to always prioritize and learn to say no,
yes.
make those
so
choices.
If anybody comes to me for a business which is, we had many options for having a joint venture with some other companies. And I said, no, I'm not interested in joint ventures, because in a joint venture, most of the joint ventures are with foreign companies, big companies.
Yes.
So you are at a different level compared to a multinational. And then there is always a conflict in terms of relationship. Where do the brands belong to?
But a lot of brands choose that because they want to feel a little more comfortable, a little more,
So if you look at the Indian history or Indian experience of Indian companies going in for joint ventures, most of them have failed. Because the brands that belong, Godrej went in tie-up with some other companies. Many other companies have gone tie-ups, and all of them had to change.
Yeah. So in retrospect, what
it's
you
been
did
the right decision,
has been the right decision.
Absolutely.
You also said that in the early days when such choices are made, wealth and how much money one makes does have a certain kind of impact in the early days.
Yes.
When you started succeeding as much as you thought or anticipated or more,
yes,
what did indulgence look like for you? Like when wealth came, did you feel like, okay, I want to buy this or I want to acquire that?
I don't know. I'm built a little differently. I don't get swayed by wealth. My needs are not that high. So at that time, I was staying in a joint family with my parents. So one desire I had was to have a house of my own. So that, I mean, that's not splurging. I think that's a need for being independent.
Yeah.
And I think just a little bit better lifestyle, I would say. But nothing beyond that in terms of owning a plane or a yacht or something like that.
So spending money on something that you want to buy or acquire doesn't give you that much pleasure. Or do you enjoy doing it for your family or
I
for
think it's
people
more
you
to
care
do
for?
with experiences. I would say that if at all I have spent my wealth, it's mainly for my house. I built a new house at a holiday home and for traveling. And a little bit about car, but not really too much on that. But
and has it changed over time, or have you always been the same about how you view?
I think by and large, same.
By and large, you've been the same person.
Yeah. I feel that money is not your own. You're a trustee of your wealth. You're not going to. And of course, there are so many people who can benefit from your financial wealth. So it's better that the joy you get from giving is very different than the joy you get from spending.
That is true. In fact, when we also were researching on the way you give, the way your initiatives are structured, and the whole pattern of what you're now explaining, it kind of starts making so much sense, because the way you viewed wealth, the way you wanted to make wealth also came from a different motivation. It was not wealth for the sake of wealth. So even when you're planning your giving, you focus a lot on being present. You focus a lot on being involved. Where does that come from inherently? Is the same outlook as it was in your business?
So no, it's different. On business, I like businesses which are pioneering businesses, where you are the first mover. And many brands of ours, we are the first ones to start.
Correct.
Like Saffola, many others. So I like pioneering initiatives. So that was something which, and I like to be in a place in business where I have a higher chances to win. So what is known as the right to win. So when it came to, when you reach a certain age, then you say, okay, let me now start identifying causes which I can give to. It doesn't come to you automatically because you may just identify a few areas. And for me, it was very important that I gave something where I was involved. So it is just not giving a donation. You give a donation to a school or a hospital, and then most of the time, your role is over. At the most, you are a trustee in that hospital where you hardly have any say or a little bit of say.
Yes.
But you're not actively involved in managing philanthropy. And for whatever you may say, I wanted to be actively involved in the sense that I wanted to give my time, money, energy, involve not only myself, but whoever from my companies or from my friends or from my associates in that journey. So it's quite different compared to just giving a donation. And I think that's what, because I felt that if I have to pursue a certain cause, I should be passionate about that cause. I can't pursue something which I'm not passionate about. The second thing which was rolling in my mind is that I should be the first mover in that area. Somebody who has not done that before. And because of that passion, because of the need to interact and add value in terms of time, effort, there are higher chances of you being a thought leader in that area.
Yeah.
So you want to be in a thought leadership space in that area, saying that, okay, whatever I have done in these areas, it's something which I'm perceived as a thought leader.
Yeah.
But going back to how did we identify entrepreneurship? Why did we identify mental health? It came through certain exploration. It just didn't happen automatically. You know? But I was very passionate about health, very passionate about entrepreneurship. And these are the two areas where I thought I could actively involve myself.
Yeah.
So in the area of mental health, we realize that it's a completely neglected area.
Yes, it is.
There is so much of productivity loss, impact on our lives, not only in urban areas, but more so in rural areas and across all income groups, across all age groups. Everybody has these kind of stresses and mental health issues. And people were just not willing to open up. They thought that it's a disease where they cannot talk to people openly.
Yeah.
And I think that had to be broken. It's like if you're not well, you go to a doctor.
Correct.
And if you have a mental health issues, you can go to a counselor. And you have to make that happen. But people were just not, because how will I be perceived by others?
Yeah.
So I think that it's changing now, changed to some extent, but still there.
But it also has a lot to do with you putting yourself out and being very vocal about some of the things. So the way you've pioneered in business is the way you've pioneered even over years.
Yeah.
And as an observer from the outside, what I've seen is you not only in fact, you don't put yourself in the front through your initiatives, through the annual event that you do also.
Yes.
You're kind of spotlighting people who are also pioneers in solving social issues, which is a very different way of giving.
I think basically I see my role as a catalytic role in these areas. It's not that I have to be there in front of people and I have to tom-tom myself. If you play a catalytic role, then the impact you're creating is much more.
Yes.
Let others speak through their actions or through whatever they are doing.
But see, you've been such a strong business person. And this is my question really coming from that curiosity. When we are solving a business issue, when you're thinking of acquisition or profit or competition, it has a certain amount of aggression. And also, there is a finality, there is a quantifiable end.
Yes.
But when we're talking about social issues, it seems to be like a never-ending game. And you do 5 things and sometimes the 6th will come and disrupt everything. How do you cope with that? Because
I think in business, I don't agree with you that there is an end to it. Business goes on evolving. And if you see the business situation today for both, there is so much of discontinuity in the business environment because of geopolitics, because of technological impact, that all the businesses have to continuously go on
reinventing
themselves. And the same thing in case of giving. My journey from what we started in Ascent or what we started in Mariwala Health Initiative has evolved over a period of time. And it is still evolving. It will go on evolving depending on the need. So we started off first with entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurs, because that was something but when I started looking at that, the numbers were so small in terms of, at that time, I'm talking of 20 years back, that we were not able to get enough women entrepreneurs. So we expanded to not necessarily women. And then we started in Bombay and now we expanded to other parts of India.
When you look at social entrepreneurship, you said women, you started with, the numbers were so abysmal. Then you kind of widened the net to include all kinds. The big differences that you observe in social entrepreneurship and in business entrepreneurship, what would that look like?
No, I think entrepreneurs, in my opinion, why have we done entrepreneurship? Because strongly believe that all entrepreneurs create a multiplier effect.
Correct.
If I can make entrepreneurs learn from each other, if I can add value to them by mentoring them or having boardroom sessions, and if their business flourishes, I'm assuming, and I think it is helping them based on whatever feedback we get from them, then to that extent, if their business does well, it impacts all their stakeholders, whether it's their own employees, their associates, the society, they themselves. So I think the multiplier effect created by businesses which succeed, it can have a huge impact on the India's growth rate. And I think to some extent, we can't go on expecting the government to play a pivotal role in driving India's growth story. It has to be the entrepreneurs who will drive. And I think what we are trying to do through Ascent is giving that fillip to the entrepreneurs to learn from each other, to grow. And by doing that, create that multiplier effect.
Yeah. Today, there are many young people who are looking at philanthropy from different lenses. More causes are in public eye than ever before. And also, a lot of them do feel judged
Yes.
about, what they have to say, what they have to position, how they're giving, whether it's selfish, selfless. How do you view it now? I mean, when you started, it was again way ahead of its time.
Yes.
And the way you did it also is still way ahead of its time. So, no, it is, because it is sensitive, and whatever you were explaining right now also, you're in such proximity, but you manage to not control in an unhealthy way.
Yes.
That takes a lot of sensitive give and back and forth. So when young people are looking at this space and feeling judged and therefore not doing anything, what would you?
First of all, there has to be inner desire to do something, and no amount of judgment should dissuade you from doing what you think is sound. You have to experiment, you have to try, you have to make changes. It has to evolve. Our journey in mental health has changed completely from the time we started. And one had not expected what it would evolve. But as you spend time on that subject, you think of new ideas, and then you experiment with them. Some of them will succeed, some of them may not succeed also. But our whole journey in mental health started with supporting some organization, grant making, and now it has gone to doing research on what causes mental health at workplaces, what causes mental health in rural areas, what is the climate change in mental health, what leads to suicide. So we've done a whole study on suicide. How can suicide be prevented? And so we've gone to research, advocacy, and also financial grants.
What began your focus on mental health? Like, I know you explained why you did it, but how did you even notice it?
So
because it's the most unnoticed, ignored
but when you
thing.
say, okay, I identified entrepreneurship and health. These are the two things in my mind that, okay, I want to do something in these areas. And then you start doing exploration. You talk to people who you think can add value. And in that exploration, you get some ideas. So started getting ideas from women's health first. Didn't do. So you can't just give it up. You have to pivot to something else. So pivoted to Ascend, which is all entrepreneurs. And then in the area of mental health, we said health. And then I, based on reading and all that, said that this is a completely neglected area. So started exploring, met some mental health experts, started discussing with people. My daughter also was involved in that. So through her, we researched a lot, and we said, okay, this seems to be an area where we should enter.
I'm so fascinated by your approach. Can I tell you that I want to templatize this and share it everywhere? Because it's not often, and I don't even mean somebody of your leadership stature. It's not often that people pursue a problem like this, trying to dig into the causes and going after them this way. So in this journey, has there been, and would you be comfortable sharing with any massive failures that you thought this will go right, but it just flipped over?
I can talk of successes.
Okay, sure.
So, we help, in essence, we help entrepreneurs scale up and learn from each other. So there have been many, many entrepreneurs who learn from each other through what we call trust groups. They meet every month and they learn from each other. But in addition to being a part of the trust group, I have what are known as boardroom sessions. So each trust group will, in a month, I will have 1 or 2 boardroom sessions where the whole trust group will come to me and they will send their challenges to me in advance. That, okay, these are the challenges we are facing. And then I'll give my views and everybody will then participate in that discussion. So through that, there is a lot of value addition. In addition to that, there are certain entrepreneurs who reach out to me, and I have made it very clear, anybody wants some mentoring, I can help. So there is this entrepreneur from Calcutta who is in ice cream manufacture. And this is a business we understand because it's a consumer facing business. So we worked a lot with him. We led him to upgrade his quality standards by putting him in touch with my R&D team. He comes to me every month to meet me. How should he manage sales? How should he manage? He has 2 brands. How should he manage his distribution? So because he's so committed and he's so hungry for learning, I also feel encouraged to help him. And his business has grown from, I think, maybe 10, 20 crores to, I think he's close to about 200 crores.
Yes.
business, and it will grow further. He's very, very confident. So I think there are multiple stories like that, which I can talk about, where because of our involvement, they have seen a big impact on their business.
With all the work that we also do, when we interact with who we call beneficiaries, what over 10 years we've been able to understand is that the biggest poverty that they face is actually information poverty. Being informed, having access to the right rooms. So what you're opening up is a wealth of knowledge that actually bridges the gap of what they can do with their lives.
Yeah, and it's just not me alone who's participating. It is other entrepreneurs. I have a panel of about 30, what we call power of mentors. These are all retired CEOs whom I know.
Lovely.
So then I put them in touch with them. I involve the Marico team members also if there is a certain challenge. So, and everybody wants to give something back. So they don't mind, they don't get anything out of it. So it's just that people want to give something back, and I'm leveraging through this route to.
You're also role modeling very strongly, but now when there is so much of this generation is going to see the highest wealth transfer. There's a lot of young, newly wealthy, as well as people of family wealth who are now custodians of significant amounts. How should they look at issues right now, because it is chaotic? There's more noise now than there's been ever before.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing to happen. Having said that, I think your desire to do something has to come from within. Depending on your mindset, you may just say, I will support, like Warren Buffett is giving wealth to Bill Gates. He's not involved. But maybe because he's too busy with his own. So depending on your mindset and depending on what you want to do, you have to begin your journey by, first of all, being focused. Do a few things, but do them well, rather than doing too many things. Number two, follow your passion. If you are passionate about a subject, then you should follow that. Number three, having passionate, then just do a little bit more research. Do some inciting, wherein people who are experts in that area, what can you do? To what extent you want to be involved in that? Because you should be willing to give time. This requires a lot of time. In Ascent, I give maybe 15-20% of my time.
15-20% of your time?
Yeah. I spend at least 2-3 days a month on this. But I have time. So I have decided to be actively involved. And that gives me a different type of satisfaction than just building a business.
Fantastic. You ever see a future where philanthropy will become compulsory in the way we operate, not because the government wants it or because there's a tax break?
No, I don't think compulsory things don't work out. It has to come from within. Of course, in corporate social responsibility, now it's compulsory if you are making profits. But those organizations who don't want to do it, they will just give money donation to somebody and get something back in cash. All that things are
all
there.
That also happens.
So you can't do it through force. But in a way, that's good. The government is actually encouraging organizations to look at that. But even in our corporate social responsibility initiatives, our role is very catalytic. We help farmers improve their productivity by playing a catalytic role. We work with Marico Innovation Foundation, identifying innovators, helping them scale up also, things like that.
And that has actually built up the momentum because you're involving stakeholders.
So in all, one is corporate social responsibility, another is what we call personal social responsibility, which is a personal. It is funded by me personally.
Incidentally, Rashesh said the same thing. Within his family, they have this code saying personal social responsibility. What are you doing in your personal lives in addition to what institutions demand of us?
So luckily in my family, I have some other individuals who are involved in helping me in this, because I think I am looking at a perpetual kind of a journey. It should not stop when I'm not there.
Of course.
So my daughter is looking after the mental health part, and she devotes almost 30-40% of her time there. And my daughter-in-law is looking after the Ascent part, and she also devotes a lot of time to that. So in a way, now they have taken the mantle on themselves. They do more work than me, but I just am there.
Yeah. But in the early days, and this was a question I was going to ask you, how did you, or was it you, or was the family just watching you that got into conversations on philanthropy, and how did you discuss it?
No, it was mainly me only. Mental health, I may have discussed. I've definitely discussed with my daughter.
No, but what I mean is you believing at an individual level,
Yes.
you doing it as a leader.
Yes.
But when these discussions are to be had with family members,
Yes.
and I also speak, this whole wealth transfer
Yes.
conversation,
Yes.
a lot of parents are having to have that conversation with their children, right?
Yes.
Because there is a part of wealth,
Yes.
time,
Yes. Yes.
investment that is going into a cause that is outside of the family.
Yes.
How are those discussions? How does one conduct those discussions?
I think a lot depends on the family. In my case, I didn't discuss with my parents or my elders. So it came mainly from myself, within myself. But
you role modeled it then.
I started on my own, but it can be. I mean, in families, I think it should be discussed. It's important to discuss with children at a young age. They need to give something back. How does one give back? But ideally speaking, yes, the seeds of giving back, the seeds of if you have your own business, what it means to run a business, expose kids to the factories, market, and that's what I do with my grandchildren.
So that whole entire phase when you started off on your own and you realized it was inevitable,
yes.
Your own networks would have been there with your families.
Yes.
You are not willing to tie up with large FMCGs. So
Yes.
basically what I see is a fairly lonely person or a person who's out there on their own. Did you have networks or people to fall back on?
Yeah, to some extent, because as they say, it's lonely to be at the top. And especially for a CEO or a person who's running a business, don't want to show your vulnerability to people who are reporting to you. I deviated from there and I was vulnerable with them because many CEOs think that what will others think of me if I'm showing my weaknesses. But anyway, they will know that you're weak at something. So I was very vulnerable to people who reported to me. In addition to that, I was a part of some other similar groups where I would discuss things. So I think every CEO or every person at a senior level needs some support because all of us have blind spots. And when you discuss those issues, many of the blind spots get filled by somebody else because you don't realize that there's something you missed out on.
But what triggered you to see vulnerability again is a concept more spoken about now.
Yeah.
It is encouraged for a CEO to be vulnerable,
yes.
especially male CEOs who shy away from it.
Yes.
But 1990s, no chance of, we needed the macho men to lead the businesses.
Yeah, but I was very vulnerable. I have cried in front of my team.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that influenced any part of your philanthropy? That also is that?
So. No, I don't think that is influenced. But I mean, the fact that we went into ascent and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
One of the things which was at the back of my mind was that most entrepreneurs are reluctant to talk their issues, or they can't talk to anybody else because they don't want to be vulnerable with their own team. At the family, of course, they can talk, but the family may not understand the intricacies of managing a business.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to individuals who are running a business, whom you can trust. And the only way you can build that trust is to talk to CEOs who are not competing with you.
Yes.
So I think that inside that, yes, I think entrepreneurs can learn a lot from each other. Made me start Ascent.
Fantastic. If someone had to look back at your philanthropic journey, apart from your business journey, what would you like your philanthropic journey to be remembered as?
Oh, I think to look at something which has a multiplier effect, to do something which is pioneering, to be perceived as a thought leader, and to build for perpetuity. Even if I'm not there, this movement should continue.
Lovely. Yeah. Lovely. No, thank you. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. This has been the most incredible. And can I tell you how inspired I am? Because I mean, you put words in the most beautiful ways to describe your journey.